We'll start with the minutes. I didn't have any corrections to the minutes. What did you have, Bill?
No, they were fine. Fine on my end.
Okay, so Colleen, both Bill and I approved the minutes, so they're approved.
Okay.
My next one is your timesheet. Usually there's a summation of, or a sum of 70. This week I see 235s, Colleen, but that's the normal 70 hours.
Yes, I probably just forgot to write it on the bottom there. Yep, the 235s, yep.
Are you okay with that, Bill?
Yeah, I'm looking at it now quickly. Yes, 35. I got that. That's fine.
35 and 35. So it's 70
Yep.
for the 2 weeks.
Yep.
Okay, I'm okay with that too, Colleen, so that's approved.
Okay.
The next one is for money to send to the treasurer. Turns out a total of $670. We've got $400 for Board of Health permits, $220 for licenses, $50 for fees, and that's it, totaling to $670. Are you okay with that, Bill?
Yep. Yeah, that's fine. Very good.
And I am too, Colleen, so that's approved.
Okay.
Yeah, throw me in there, guys.
Okay, Lee,
Okay, Lee.
you're here. Okay.
Thank you.
We just approved the minutes, Colleen's timesheet, and the transfer of $670, Lee. The next
All right,
one
thank you.
is bills payable to Quill for the stuff we ordered. That's $107.88. So that's the stuff we approved last meeting. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
Yes.
And I am too, Colleen, so that's unanimous.
Okay.
Next one is purchase request. It looks like it's for $235.97. It's also to it looks like it's for a toner and a drum. It must be a toner drum. Is it an ink drum, Colleen?
It's a toner, yeah, toner and then the drum, toner drum for my printer, yeah.
And then envelopes, they're all Quill, $235.97. Are we okay with that?
Yes.
And Lee, you said yes too?
Yes, I did. Thank you.
Okay, and I am too, Colleen, so that's unanimous.
Okay.
The next one is Kona Ice Cream of Manchester. And that's Charter Days, operate a mobile food service. This one would be typically, we would approve subject to Lynn inspecting it. What are we?
I got a question on this, Dick. On number 4, it says, will your table be hooked up to a water supply? And they checked no. And then they said water from commissary public water filled tank with food grade hose. What does that mean?
What I talked to who is it that's running the
It's
Crystal Dufresne?
Yes. Yes.
And Crystal's supposed to give us a plan, but what her goal was to have one source of water on that side of the pond, and she was coming and make it so the water only ran when someone from their group was in attendance, and they had to have a plan to protect the end of that hose so there's no way that it could get contaminated, and the well was already tested. So she was supposed to come up with that, and it's interesting that you say this, Bill, because the next one he's got a bigger problem. But, so I don't know what we want to do. Let Lynn look and see if it's okay, or have one of us go out and do this. But it sounded like what Crystal was going to do is make sure that she had the plan, and she said she would submit it.
Now, who on her committee will be physically out there doing this on-site review?
Yeah, that's what the plan is supposed to include.
Yeah. Okay.
So how do we know, going forward, are these food grade hoses? Not to beat this thing to death, but are these new hoses that they're going to be using? Or are they just something that's been in the garage for 2 years?
Yeah, she told me that they were
Either.
going to end up cleaning them, flushing them with chlorinated water, but that's supposed to be the whole plan. And I explained to her, we don't love it in general, but if they had people with good containers and she had control of that hose, that you have to end up starting with water that's good water, then it's got to be a hose that's a good hose. And I said, for all you know, if you leave a hose out there on a stick and someone drops it on the mud or washes the cow dung off their feet, and all of a sudden someone's drinking this thing.
Yeah.
Or if there's a perforation in the side of the hose laying across a theoretical puddle, it could be sucking that on its route to the food truck.
Right. And I told her that she's got the same problem on the other side. She's got, I think, about 10 people that have campers that are coming in who run the rides or own the rides. And, I said, it's the same issue. I said, but if they're campers, all of these campers have a water tank to be able to use them. I said, so it seems like you ought to be able to control that. I said, you also have people flushing toilets. You can't let that all go on the ground. That's got to have some kind of a holding tank. And she was supposed to get back, but she did not get back to me. So I don't know what we do with this. You could approve it subject to resolving the water issue.
Well, it starts in 2 days, doesn't it, Dick, in 3 days?
Yeah.
It's this weekend, so they're pushing us into a corner with the clock ticking here.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which
That's right.
I don't know how much of a bad guy we should be here, because the bigger picture is public health and not whether or not we bruise somebody's authority.
Maybe what we do is we get Lynn in there before they start off and specifically go after this water thing. And if they don't have it resolved, we just say you just can't use that water, and let them figure out how they're going to do it. Let them bring it in with, go to the Big Y and get 5-gallon buckets of water.
Dovetailing to the second. Go ahead, Lee, excuse me.
No, I was at pardon me. I was at I don't know where the hell I was, Lowe's or Home Depot or something. They got these 5-gallon jugs of Poland Springs for, I think they're $12.
Yeah, and as I said, Lee, if you go into Big Y, they've got them there.
Yeah, so we're trying to be good guys here, but we can't know. I mean, Lynn, of course, is our eyes and ears on this whole thing. As long as she plays hardball.
How many hours is she supposed to be there, guys?
Oh, one inspection.
Oh, So she'll
Just
go
one?
first. Yeah, she'll go first thing in the morning when everything's clean, give them the green light, and then walk away.
Maybe what we do with this one is approve it subject to using bottled water.
Dick, if you go to the next one, Hearts Catering, they didn't even fill out the section 4.
Well, that's what I said when you get
Yeah.
to that one.
Yeah,
I certainly would support at this point, without getting the plan that we were told, that I was told I was going to get, that we just say, there is another deal with this. Instead of using a hose to give them their water, let them get the 5-gallon, the bottled water, and be done with it.
what day did you talk to Crystal?
2 different days. I would say the last one was about a week ago.
All right, so she's had 7 days to get you the plan,
Right.
and the party starts in 3 days.
Right, and if we approve this subject to using bottled water, it makes this problem go away.
Again, like Lee says, we're going to be the bad guys, but in the spirit of public health, I guess it's the prudent thing to do.
Especially since I did deal with Crystal and say, this is what you need to do. And she said she was going to do it, and she didn't.
Wow.
Well, then shame on them for maybe they don't understand the magnitude of the problem.
Yeah.
But the potential problem can be quite large, as we all know. And therefore, I think it's on them to prove to us, more specifically Lynn, that they got a handle on this thing, and that any one of us would be glad to go there and grab Coke or an ice cream cone, whatever, not have any second thoughts about it. But right now, that's not the case.
So it is. For these two, you certainly could make it to say it's got to be bottled water, not community water. We don't want to, I don't think we want to, reject the application. That causes all sorts of trouble.
No, that's not any, I don't think it's any,
Just condition it on the bottled water.
Yeah.
Yeah, call it good.
That's all.
Yeah, and we'll do it.
Yeah.
Are we going to do it so we approve both of these subject to Lynn inspecting and the use of bottled water, not community?
Yeah, I'd recommend. Now, here's the thing, Dick, that's important. When Lynn goes, she has to physically see a supply of bottled water there. So what happens if she goes at 9 in the morning and there's no bottled water?
It should be that she tells them you can't open.
Okay, so that means somebody, Colleen, are you or is Lynn going to call these folks and advise them first thing in the morning to pick up their water?
Well, I already let all of the other ones know that they had to use bottled water.
Okay.
I mean, I don't know
Okay.
what Crystal knows, but I don't know what Crystal has said to them in the meantime. Like maybe we don't have to. I don't know.
Well, I got a feeling that may be what's happening is there'll be a miscommunication. So I suspect, Dick, I'd recommend that Colleen call Hart and the other one, Kona, and advise them we're on the bottled water regimen.
Yeah, and I think, Colleen, to make sure you get in touch with Crystal and say that's what we've said, that's the way we're going to handle this to be safe.
Everybody uses bottled water.
Yep.
Yep. I will let Crystal know, and I'll let these vendors know, and I'll remind the other ones.
Yeah.
Good.
Okay, perfect.
Very good.
Okay. So that's for both of these. We just voted for both. All three of us.
Okay.
Yes.
And Bill, you agree on both of these? Okay.
Yes.
So it's that what we should do, we'll stop this list. It's 1:15, and Dan's got I don't know, is Bob here? Not yet.
Bob is here.
Okay.
No, Bob is here.
Okay, Bob. The issue, and I want to really keep this from going crazy we could spend the next hour on this. I did look at the drawings. We're in a spot that a system's been installed, a house has been built. Perk tests were done in, I'll just say 2008. We're in an issue that Title V says you've got 3 years after you put the permit in to get the system completed, unless you ask during that 3-year period for an extension that you could get up to a year. So number one, we don't have a permit right now that's valid. We don't have perk tests that are valid. I will say that I think at the time that Dan started this, I think it was the board's policy. If in fact you started, we had told people that if you put fill in place or got the system started, you could fill it. I mean, you could continue it. The other thing that I noticed on the drawing that I have that Colleen submitted was a Bob Sheehan Sr. drawing. It gave lot lines on that drawing to be established. But we don't even know that the lot lines have been established. If I had just my way, I'd kick it out on just the discussing point is I would be saying on this one that it's a legitimate, probably maybe a misunderstanding with the board had 12 years ago or whatever on that 3 years and one. And in fact, if we said that we told other people, I think we have told at the time other people that they weren't in trouble if they started it. But I would be looking right now and say, number one, we need to have a permit that's valid. We don't have a permit. Someone's got to take out a permit here. The second would be the lot lines have to be established to make sure the system is in the place that in the lot is even where the engineer from the old permit, Bob Sheehan, saying someone's got to establish those lot lines, and maybe it's been done. And the third, this one, when I looked at the holes that we dug and went back in, and I talked to Bobby about it, is this was not, we went in at least 2 different years, maybe 3. And none of the water tables were done by physical water. All of them were set up that models were the highest thing on the site. It would seem reasonable to me that if we had 3 things, that we get a permit, that we ensure that the system is in fact on the lot, and the third was someone goes up next to the system without wrecking it and digging a hole to make sure that that modeling is where it actually was designed. The system was designed. But go ahead, Lee and Bill, go ahead.
Well,
I guess my first thought is, no, go ahead, Bill.
no, go ahead, Lee. I'll follow you.
I was just going to say, at least all of the above. I don't know if it's prudent to do perk just to ensure that it's that the soil, unless you've done this and I misunderstood, that a perk was in fact done pouring the water in a couple locations, and that we're over the, if the lot lines are established, are we exactly over the holes that were dug 12 years ago, or whenever it was, 14 years ago?
Yeah,
Without a doubt over the holes, the system is located in the footprint of what was drawn and approved.
Okay, so the holes that were dug, system is on top of those 2 or 3 original deep holes.
Yes, actually it is 3, Lee. And then we went back in 2008 and dug another hole, March, April, just to verify water table to fall within the parameters of.
So is the water table an issue here, or is it just, like at 110 inches, it's a no-brainer, or, I just want to get brought up to speed on this thing?
I think what the issue is the time frame.
Time. Okay.
Yeah. And as Dick had previously stated, the permit and design was approved. Dan stripped the topsoil, subsoil off, filled the system, probably back in 2010, and here we are today, 2022, and the system is going in. He effectively started the system, but I don't think on anybody's behalf they would have believed it would have taken this long. That being myself, the Board of Health, and Dan Bernash.
Yeah. Hi, Bob. How you doing? Good to see you again.
Good to see you, Bill.
So, gentlemen, so was there a strip inspection done at any time by anybody, either the engineer or the board?
Yes, Dick and I met on site in late 2010.
Okay, so you had a strip inspection. Okay, well, that's good then.
Yes.
And I think this system consisted of there's 3 trenches?
3 infiltrator trenches, correct.
Okay, and what's the design perk rate, Bob?
It was for 8 minutes an inch.
Okay, so it wasn't 2, so
No,
it's a good sized system then. So is it 3 50-foot trenches or so?
no, Bill, it's,
I don't have that.
Please.
Yeah, that's okay. I don't have that on my computer in front of me right now. I looked at
I'm just
it.
trying to look at it.
332 foot
Okay,
trench infiltrators.
okay. Which is quite a big system actually for infiltrators.
Yeah, and that's all by their code,
Yeah,
their sizing.
yeah. So
Dan,
Dick,
are there pins out there now that,
Yes. All the survey pins are still there.
so that has been done?
Yes.
so Dick, is there concern that the system is too low? Is it?
No, I think that we're fine. It's that it's on, normally we wouldn't let a design go through like this, but this design says that because we had trouble finding this spot, Sheehan Senior has a note saying proposed new property line.
Okay.
And
Okay.
so it doesn't show pins. It just, in fact, it doesn't really, it's out in the middle of, kind of in the woods on the side of a hill. But to try to say this is done. It almost, when you do it, you have to go to the holes that were dug and then work out to get the lot lines to make sure you're on it. And I just wanted to make sure indeed that was done. We have no idea. From this drawing, I can't tell that was done.
Okay, all right. So if the system's where it was prescribed, all the data is fine. But if the system is not where it's prescribed, there could be a difference in soils or a difference in water table.
Yeah, and so where my concern would be is to go back in and verify, since it was colors that we built to. I am comfortable that if you went in and you don't want to wreck the leach field, but if you got next to it and dug a hole and you said, okay, here are the models and this is the system is in fact put in the way it was supposed to be put in based on the models, then I'm comfortable with that. And in Lee's case, I certainly could support if you were there at the same time, if you wanted to pour water to say, is it going to be okay? As I recall, it was all tangled up kind of soil. It was not uniform soil up there.
So
For surveyor purposes, Randy Iser has been involved in this project since at least 2005, and again, October 23rd, 2007. So, and where I'm going with that is, when this project started, a determination was made that a registered land surveyor would have to come out, establish property lines, establish benchmarks, establish contours for the sole purpose of designing this system. And so that was actually done.
Okay.
It wasn't a case of Sheen Associates going in, getting grades, topography, that kind of stuff, and then at the end of the design saying, oh, a registered land surveyor has to survey this. Harold Eaton Associates has been involved since the very beginning.
Okay, so that being said, was that data at any point prior shared with the board?
Probably since the plan was approved on January 8th of 2008, I quite possibly showed the plan dated from Harold Eaton Associates, October 23rd, 2007. I quite possibly showed that to the board at their meeting.
Okay. So the land's been surveyed so that we know the system is on whatever piece of property it's supposed to be on.
And there are pins.
All the pins are still in place.
Yeah, so Dan says the pins are there.
The benchmark's there. Everything's there.
that's next to Orland's gravel pit, isn't it?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it is the former pit, yes.
Yeah, that was his father's property,
Correct.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm looking at the test pit logs right now. It's coarse sand and gravel. But like you say, Dick, it probably was massaged a little bit during the gravel operations, but ultimately the majority of the soils there it's highly pervious soil.
Yeah, and it wasn't 2 minute stuff, because I really push hard to make it 2 minutes to pick up the extra foot of separation. But I guess I'm still, if we've got pins there, Bobby's told me that Bob LeMake would be willing to do the permit and application and at least look at
Excuse me,
yeah.
Excuse me, Dick. he would be willing to consider.
Okay,
I can't speak for him, so.
okay. But if we ended up, given that we've got pins, it's been surveyed, I guess when you look in the hole, you're gonna tell whether it's 30-second an inch soil or 30 minutes an inch soil when you just look in the hole. But I could support if we wanted to pour water, fine. But it would be instructive to see where that model is, and just to make sure that's our kind of our surefire way of going back to what Bill was talking about. Are the elevations right? Since it was based on models, you go and look in the models and see if it comes up to 4 feet from that, then you're in, I think, pretty good shape.
Is the system filled, Dan, is the system, everything filled, grass is on the system, everything's completed?
No, the system was in, I called for the inspection prior.
Oh, I see, okay. You know, in the terrible instance where you have to add a trench, is it impossible or not impossible?
It's a pretty small area up there.
Okay.
It would have to be in one of the reserve areas.
You know, that's the Russian roulette, Dick, about pouring water. What if you pour water and it comes in at 15?
Well,
I'm comfortable that when we did this, that the perk data was good perk data. And so the soil, if we called it an 8, it really was an 8.
No, but I mean, if it's offset 50 feet from where you guys did the testing, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah. If you look at these holes, you'll see that some of those holes have ledge coming up, so it can't be off by 50 feet. It has to be where it belongs.
Okay, so ledge is the controlling factor there. I got you. Okay.
Well, property lines also. It was a very small area. I actually traded property from the owner of that property to give myself enough area for a septic, which we did. You know, it was surveyed and approved and sent to the town as approved plan and everything. There's no room to be moving around there.
Okay, and that's where Bob Senior required that the lines be reestablished. Okay.
So, two-part question. So, is the size of the system now adequate for whatever size house is on the property? If there is a house, I don't even know.
Yeah, it's a three-bedroom design. 3-bedroom design, 3-bedroom house.
Okay. So should we be doing 2 holes, one on the side and one on one end or something to, A, look for ledge, B, pour water, or vice versa?
I don't think you have that, you're afforded that kind of room, Lee. There's really only one spot for one hole, and that's in a reserve area that is at the end of the system. I think we're going to be opening Pandora's box if we try to get a machine in there and dig other holes, as well as Dick had said earlier, as far as doing a perk test, if it was a 4 and an 8 minute an inch, that's what it's been designed for, and I don't think we're going to see anything else. Going to what Bill said, what if you find out that due to some smearing or something that it perks at 15? Then what do you do?
Well, that's exactly the whole point of this conversation, to not let a problem get bigger. I mean,
The only thing that could, and
go ahead, Lee. No, go ahead. Go ahead.
I'm just saying that could happen in any perk test though, that we go out and say, gee, if we dug in a different spot, what happens if the perk rate is different? And I know when I go out there on a site, I oftentimes make them dig more holes. In fact, this one had more holes because I have to be convinced that the soil under the whole system is good. And this one did require extra holes. So it's a long time ago, but when I look at how I witnessed the perks and the deep holes, this one tells me we did a lot of poking, especially since we knew it was a limited site, that I really made these guys prove that this was a viable place.
Okay. I mean, I guess what makes me nervous, and it's not my place to, be nervous, but maybe the only way to do this, Dick, if you're up to it, is for, I'm not volunteering you for anything, but since you're the only guy that's been there, and because I wouldn't know where the heck I am. I mean, I'll find the driveway. You know where I'm coming from here.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have any idea whether or not I was on the right spot, where the perk hole test was, how close am I to ledge or not, the whole bit.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying it wasn't put in correctly, but it's a 12-year-old or so, and that's why all these things are popping up now.
Yeah. And I'm still at the point of saying, as much as I have no doubt that Dan does great work, but in terms of us, there's a lot of years that have gone by poking a hole and at least seeing where the models are and saying, okay, that's the right thing. That gets us back to the 4 feet, and at least looking at what that soil looks like and say, does this look like, it's crazy different than what we said it is. You could learn a lot from just looking in one hole.
Here's a question. System protection. Bobby, is this a 2-compartment tank you specified?
Yes, it is. It's actually a pump system, Bill.
Okay.
Two compartment tank with an effluent filter.
Okay. That's what I was going to say, because I'm just looking down the road in the very remote instance where there's a problem with this system, and you've done all the right things. You got the 2 compartments. You got an effluent filter. This is one you don't want to have go bad 3 years down the road, because then everybody looks not so good.
Well, you don't want one, any of them to go bad.
Well, that's right. That's right.
Can you drive up there, Dan?
Yes, you can.
Because I'm not at the point that I can walk up there yet.
Or you can drive right up to the hole.
Okay. But like you say, as long as there's sufficient soil, it sounds as though the soil is going to be fine. As long as you got sufficient soil and the modeling is well below the system, I think it's fine.
So let's leave it that you end up having to get a new permit, so we can act on something. And let's dig a hole, Bob, in a spot that you can get at. Let's find the models just to make sure that the system was installed vertically correctly. And at the same time, we'll see what the soils look like, that it's not crazy. Is that Lee and Bill, is that what we're saying?
It makes good sense, Dick. That's excellent. Well worded.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, so that's what we're doing.
Okay. Sounds good. I will be in touch with you, Dick, at some point here. Dan and I will probably talk tomorrow, and we'll go from there.
Okay, just so you know, as of probably Saturday, I will be gone until the beginning of July.
Okay, I'm writing that down.
Or the 26th or 28th of June, but the end of June.
End of July.
Oh, I'm sorry, end of June.
Okay. 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 Very good. We'll be in touch.
Okay, Robert, good to see you again.
Okay.
Good to talk
Thank
with you as
Yes,
well.
okay, Bob. Thank you. Thank you.
Dan,
Good night.
Dan, are you satisfied?
Yes, everything's good. Now, Dick, does that mean I can't get going till after the beginning of July?
Unless you could get Bill up there, or at least concerned about going up. Yeah, I'm just not gonna be around. I could get in there if you could arrange it. I've got some time on Friday that I could get in there.
Okay, I'll get a machine there.
Okay. Okay. Why don't we not take up any more of the board's time, and we'll get something scheduled for Friday.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay?
Okay.
Thank you.
Very good.
Have a good evening.
Thank you. Thank you,
Bye-bye.
guys.
Bye now.
Okay, let's get back into what we're working on. 151 Taylor Street. That's a certificate of compliance. Lee, what is that Bobby's parents' house?
Believe it is. I think that's the house way in the back.
Oh,
The house in the back, they're trying to get something like, I don't know, 1.2 million bucks for it.
Oh,
That's the right house I'm thinking of.
huh. Where is that house?
Oh, wait a minute. 151, I'm sorry. Is that the,
Well, that's the one with the church, right? The old church
that-
or whatever?
Neil Jackson did that?
Oh, okay.
That's that church property.
Okay, Living
that
Gate.
finally got done. Yeah, Living Gate, that's correct.
And is this all set?
Yes, it is. It was put in properly, 2 tanks, a pump system, all new equipment, all new parts, all cleaned up.
Okay. If you're okay with it, I am. How are you, Bill, with this?
yeah, I'm looking at the certificate of compliance. Dick, I think I might recuse myself because Neil's engineer, Paul Campagna, I do consulting with him from time to time, so it's probably best I recuse myself on this
Okay,
one.
fine.
Yeah, yeah.
So if you're okay, Lee, I'm okay, and so it's approved, but Bill is recused.
Yeah, makes perfect sense.
Okay.
And we should put down a potential conflict of interest.
Okay.
The next one is 32 New Ludlow Road. Same thing. Are we okay with that one?
Yeah, that was just a straight up pass, no issues at all
Okay.
on that.
It looks like a pump system. Oh, I know it. No, sure. That's the one just before you go into South Hadley.
That's
Oh,
correct.
on the left or the right, Dick?
On the left, on the south side.
Oh, okay, I'm going to recuse myself because I think I designed that one.
Okay. Lee, are you okay with this, Lee?
I am, thank you, yes.
Then I am also. It's the same story. So Bill's got a
Okay.
potential conflict of interest. Looks like Bill's
Okay.
probably not the member we're looking for here, huh? He can't vote on anything.
It won't be that often, believe me.
Hey, at least you're more honest than the Supreme Court justices.
I hear you. You're right.
Our next one, I've got my cheat sheet here. 239 Amherst Street. Sign off on the well and also for the building department. I've had a problem with this in general. I don't know if today is the time we're gonna do it, but this is the chain of custody issue again. You've got the Board of Health. Now, this, from my standpoint, it's only an issue when we have to say we give the blessing and we sign it. On normal water tests, anybody can do what they want, but in this particular case, you got a guy that testing, grabbing a sample of his own well. He's apparently said to someone, boy, it took me 4 times to get a good sample. And when I talked to the guy at Cushing about this, Cushing told me that he's familiar with towns that have people with licenses to deal with water, like water supply guys, well guys, that they are licensed. They understand the penalties of not doing this right. And so when they take samples, they take them seriously, as compared with this one that Colleen included a thing from Bob and Analytical that starts to say, prior to collecting sample, be sure to clean the faucet. Well, in this case, there is no faucet. So exactly how is he? Not only does they not tell you how to clean it, there isn't any. And we end up with Alan Katowitz last meeting gives us a sample that's got so much chlorine in it that it's meaningless. And it, in my view, it comes back to the same thing. You've got people that aren't trained in how to do it, and you have procedures that aren't even documented properly. And now we're going to stamp it saying, hey guys, this is okay. We're happy.
Dick, I'm just wondering, why would a well with a sanitary cap need to be retested 4 times for bacteria? Do you think that a mouse or something is down the casing?
Well, that's the same. Either the guy's not sampling it right,
Yeah.
or that there really is something wrong. Then you go through and say, gee, is there something really bad, but you nailed the daylights out of it with chlorine, pumped it out quick, and got yourself a good sample.
Yep.
Or you went to your neighbors and got one. So,
I hear you.
which is back to the same thing, that if you said, no, you got to have somebody that's licensed to do this, that does that kind of sampling, and then they know they're not about ready to say, I've got a bad well here and I'm passing it along, because they know they're gonna wear it.
Because Colleen, I was there the other day when Mr. Archambault came in, and I guess he did a Mr. Washburn. How did he get involved with the project? This fellow named Washburn. Did he?
I thought it was Chris Campbell had something to do with
Oh, maybe okay. Maybe it was a guy named Campbell.
He came to one of the board meetings, right, Lee? A couple of meetings ago.
That's correct, yes.
Okay, and was he asking at that meeting to do with this property?
I thought it was that address of 239. That's my recollection.
Yeah. So because he called and said, "Oh, I went to a meeting a couple meetings ago, and they said I could do this the way I usually do, or whatever."
So that guy is a trained, the guy we're talking about is a licensed guy. But that's not what this says. This says that it was collected by Gerald Archambault.
Yeah, that's why I don't understand, because he called and said, well, the board said I could do it, but then I'm looking at that water test and it's the owner, so
So, obviously, there's a communication problem with Mr. Archambault and whoever he thinks he has hired or is telling us what we want to hear for the time being. I don't get it. But clearly we need somebody from a company with a license and some experience, I think, to do this, not only for Mr. Archambault, but for town-wide.
Yeah, at least times where we have to sign it.
Oh, sure.
Especially when you look at this one. We got a couple of them. So we've got, what is it, Gary Toth has got one.
Yep.
Well, that they still haven't got back to us to tell us what the well is like. So you got his. And I think I told you what Alan Katowitz told me one day in the field. He wasn't very happy with me, but he says, I'm putting in these houses and my job is to make sure that there's water that comes out of the well. And if there's something wrong with the water, not my job to get it right. That's someone else's problem.
Really?
And he's the one that's taking samples.
Wow. Well, I drove by Toth's, and there seems to be a white riser with a cap on the top and a couple of little miscellaneous hoses, because I drive by there back.
They had a generator there, Bill, too.
Okay. Oh, I see. They had a little submersible, a sampling pump then. They must have
I
put
don't know what they did.
Yeah. Okay.
But he was supposed to come back and tell us how deep it is, what the casing was like, and he just hasn't done anything.
Lee, you had mentioned that was a little heavy on the arsenic over there, wasn't it, Lee?
Yes, it was.
The curious thing, Dick, you think there may have been rodents around that property at one time in the last 200 years?
It could be they ate the poison that went in.
Well, that's what I mean. The old style rat poison had a lot of arsenic in it.
Although the water that's up at the corner of East Street and Morgan Street, that point that Jimmy Tromke is developing, that area in there has arsenic in the water.
Oh, it does. Oh,
It does.
okay. Okay.
It does.
Yeah.
So I don't know what we're supposed to do with this.
I don't know.
My feeling is you tell them to get a licensed person, a licensed company to sample this water and give us a sample with the proper chain of custody on it.
Yeah. The funny thing is, I think the water test is on the order of $50, and to hire a licensed technician to pull the sample and drive it back and forth is probably going to cost them $200.
Maybe.
I think that might be it.
mm-hmm.
Well, the cost of development, cost of business.
Yeah.
That's right. But
But
you're
in
right.
reality, if they did it right, they could be taking the sample when they drill the well, and the guy's right there saying, "Let's finish it up right then."
Right. The funny thing about those well test reports are the chain of custody form is kind of odd. It says relinquished by, but it doesn't specifically say sampled by. And then people just scribble their name. They don't print their name and then sign. So you're not able to identify folks on the chain of custody list very easily.
Yeah. Unless we make them do it, then it's, if we're not going to sign it without understanding that, then they'll make sure it works.
Okay, that's good.
It doesn't happen very often. It's on new stuff and transfers, but in
Right.
reality, it's otherwise we're being complicit in passing on a problem to somebody else.
That's correct. That's exactly right. Yes.
So we're not going to sign this, Colleen. We want him
Okay.
to get a licensed person. And the crazy thing is, he's probably going to he's got a pump guy, or he's got something that he's going to do with this water, so that guy that's coming in to put his pump in his water tank, and all he's got to do while he's there working, just grab the water sample and be done with it.
You know, for the olden days, Dennis Conti would do this, and that would be
Absolutely.
fine,
Absolutely.
right?
Mhm.
Absolutely. So,
Did you take a look at the water test I sent today, because it's Matt Walker came in today, lot 13 School Street?
I looked at that one. I had it here. It looked like it wasn't very nice water.
No.
Oh, I saw that, yeah.
But this one was Cushing that took the sample.
Mm-hmm.
It looked like the stuff that wasn't nice were just advisories. It wasn't the required passes, but wasn't it high in? It was high in iron.
Yeah, iron and manganese, but that's typical, Dick, in that part of town. Iron,
Yeah.
manganese was high. The sodium was up.
Turbidity was high. Sulfate
Yeah.
was high.
Yeah,
But it wasn't stuff that makes it fail.
right.
I'm not sure I'd like to drink it, but it's still a pass.
Right, right.
And you've got a guy, in this case, you've got a Cushing guy that took it.
Mm-hmm.
So can we sign off on that one? I think we can.
Yes.
Okay.
So Colleen, what are they looking for? Are they just looking for, in fact, what are they looking
Yep.
for?
Yeah, they're looking for the same thing, a sign off so he can get his building permit, sign off for the well and septic. And septic was approved in March.
So then we can let you sign off, Lee and Bill, so Colleen can sign off on this one?
Yes.
Okay, Colleen, we
Okay.
all agree. You can sign off on that.
Good. Okay. All right.
Now, on our meetings after 7:15, we've got two issues. One is the letter, but the other is, have you tried to get us a room, Colleen?
Yes, I scheduled the room at the Public Safety Complex, their conference room, for all the meeting dates for the rest of the year after 7:15.
Okay, so at least if we can't get this accomplished, we do have someplace to go.
Yeah.
Now, our doctor here has got some ideas. Dr. Shaheen has got some thoughts on how we can get some better distribution and put some legs on this letter.
Well, the fact that I'm on the Conservation Commission kind of helps quite a bit in this respect, because the Mass Association of Conservation Commissions, which realistically is a lobbying group. Of course, Janice Stone disagreed vehemently with me about that. And of course, we have the MAHB. So my thought is, and I asked Janice to maybe initiate this, get one of the higher ups from the MAHB to talk to one of the higher ups at the MACC, and then try to get as much momentum statewide as we can, along with us Now, Colleen, if you're going to send this to Joe Comerford, are you sending it electronically to her?
I did, yeah.
Okay, so do you have a master list of every state rep and state senator in the Commonwealth?
I don't have a list, but I can pull one up on the computer
Yeah.
easily enough.
Yeah, I think, because Dick, my thought is if we distribute this as widely as possible, I guess two things would happen. Either they'd ignore us or we would create somewhat of a groundswell. Again, maybe others are doing exactly what we're doing. I hope they are. But what do you think?
I think if I were trying to get it going, I think the answer is yes, that we should do that. But the thing, should we limit it that, or should we do every senator and every rep, and then every board of health?
I would do that too, absolutely. And again, I'm thinking that this will groundswell the situation. We'll probably get some responses from others around the state. And again, the more the merrier, the more info we have and the more momentum we have going into the governor's office, the better off we're going to be. But I do want conservation to be involved with this. You know, conservation, we're in kind of a sticky little wicket because without mentioning names, what's the town administrators, of course I already did, what's the town administrators and select boards thought about going forward with remote meetings? Are they for it or against it?
I don't know the answer, and I'm not going to speculate.
Okay, yeah, that's, again, I don't know either. Lee, do you have any thoughts?
I've heard nothing regarding that topic. I can poke around a bit if you want me to.
Okay, because I'm just trying to think if, again, the board is an autonomous board. That's the great thing about elected government. But our commission is an appointed commission. So if the commission publicly does something contrary to the wishes of the administrative, the executive office, i.e. West 10 State Street, then, we would be essentially going against their wishes.
So Bill, why don't you stay out of that and just go the Board of Health route?
Okay.
That's it's an elected position. And if we reach out to other boards of health and send it to all the elected reps and senators, then we've just covered an awful lot of people.
I think, and again, I think you get a little more bang for the buck with the boards of health rather than the Conservation Commission.
Yeah,
though again, the MACC is a power. Yeah, they're a powerful lobby, and I think they're carrying the ball on this on their own. So I don't think we need to reinforce their strategy.
So stick with the Board of Health standpoint. And Colleen, we're still members of the whatever, Massachusetts Board of Health or whatever
MAHB.
Yeah.
Right.
So we should definitely send them a copy of it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
How impossible is it to notify the other 350 towns of what we're doing? The other boards of health.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm going to have to work on that. I mean, I can easily pull up the senators and the reps because theirs are, right there. I think.
I wonder
there
if
is
folks at
there is a list
MHB would have a
somewhere.
list.
There is a list somewhere, but
I think we could send other towns, but we'd be probably caught in their spam filter and they would just ignore our message. That's the problem. You really want to get to someone that's going to listen and read this.
Well, if that's the case, then you definitely want to go to the reps and the senators.
I think those are the heavy hitters. Yeah. If we have the luxury of sending to other communities, fine. But I think Comerford and Cary, Mindy Dome. Is Lesser still in office?
Yeah,
Okay,
Yep.
Eric Lesser, he's a powerful guy.
but those are only a few different people.
Well, I know, yeah, but again, we got to branch out more than our little locality. We got to go to East. If we get some support in Eastern Mass, that's where the center of gravity is, obviously. Okay.
Well, let's
But yeah,
try. Let's see what Colleen can do with that.
Yeah, Colleen, please. Thank you so much.
Yep, you're welcome, sure.
Bill, good idea on that one.
Well, we'll see. Again, it's an uphill battle. Let's see what happens. But
Okay.
I got a feeling a lot of folks around the Commonwealth are very happy with the way these Zoom meetings operate. They really are.
I think so too.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And as long as we really push on the fact that it ends up with better community participation, then that's the part that says, you know, the open meeting law was to make this all more transparent, and this is a better way to make things transparent.
Exactly.
So, okay, so what we've got left is COVID issues. Looks like I didn't send anything out, but it looks like our numbers are definitely coming down. If you look at the CDC numbers, I think we're going to come into the 200s, which are way down. I think we were up at what, 700 or something. So, and that's a fast one. That's only a 7-day average. So that's when it's changing, that one shows quickly.
Mhm.
It actually looks like, I think this week you're going to see the modified list, the one that I do multiples in a household as a single positive, just to take a look at community spread. I think that number is going to move from red to yellow this week. So
Good.
So it's definitely moving down. I certainly don't see many people using masks when I go into
Except us, probably.
expect us. That's right. It's easy to find my wife and me in the stores because we're the people with the big white blob on our face.
Yep. Same thing here.
So.
Me too.
So, other than that, how about other email? Bill, you said something I thought in a conversation you said something about the federal government trying to put a well in or something.
Oh, yeah. Thanks, Dick. Yeah. Jack Moriarty, who's chief engineer at Westover, emailed me a couple of days ago saying that the base is interested in putting in a public water supply well in our community. I don't know where. Dick, you and I were just speculating up by the high school, but they wanted to know if we would like to either join in or reap the benefits. I don't know if we'd have to. Again, I'm sure the town doesn't want to spend $1 million running infrastructure, but if we can maybe utilize that water, if it's in a good location for access, at least it's something to talk about. Now, what's the status of the well, Dick, at the high school? Is it in fine shape?
Well, I don't know which one of them is capped off.
Okay.
One of them had to be abandoned, and
Okay.
I don't know. I was going to say I think, but I thought that of the two wells from the East Meadow and the high school, I think one of those is not being used too. So you've got the original one that was replaced that was contaminated with chemical. And then, but I don't know that. I just don't know.
Okay, and again, I don't know where they're anticipating this public well to go in. So one of the top brass, they're supposed to call me from the base the next week. So I'll get some more information.
We should be very careful. One thing that something you aren't aware of, Bill, I don't think, is on Morgan Street. When we were doing all of the the well work at the landfill, that the original, it wasn't a premise, it was actually proven that Stony Brook was a barrier that stopped any of that leachate from moving to the northeast, I guess.
I remember that. I remember that in those discussions years ago.
And what's happened is that water, that Morgan Street, most of Morgan now, is got South Hadley Water District #1 water.
Yes.
And the reason is that a homeowner on the northeast side of Stony Brook was taking huge amounts of water for his property, for his grass, from a relatively shallow well. And what he actually did is locally drop the water table on the northeast side of Stony Brook. And he caused the water from the landfill to go underneath the brook and come out on the other side.
Base flow. Yeah, I know exactly who you mean. I know the gentleman. Gentleman. Oh boy. Wow. Really? So the hydraulic cutoff got circumvented due to his excessive drawdown. Wow. That's classic. That's a classic.
So it's interesting when they start saying, oh, we're going to put a well in, we should at least be aware. And in fact, I'm looking at some stuff that's happening out at the Cape, and my brother-in-law has got a well that's being contaminated with salt water, and it's in Wellfleet. And what Wellfleet did is they've got wells in the middle of in the middle of the Cape right there, and they're drawing down, and they changed the shape of the freshwater lens. And they actually draw the lens in. So my brother-in-law is on the edge of that lens. And so they've drawn the salt water inward by pulling the fresh water out of the middle of the Cape. So they changed the topography, I don't know what you call it, but that shape of the freshwater lens changes. It gets drawn in. It drops down and gets drawn in.
So due to the density change, so since salt water is heavier than fresh water, so the lens, and how thick is the lens? Is that 100 feet, 1,000 feet?
I don't know no, it's not 1,000, I don't think.
Yeah. Wow.
I don't think so.
That's pretty interesting.
It moves in, and they've done the same thing as Provincetown ended up, because you've got no horizontal flow of water here. It's just there is some, the water comes down, lands on the sand, that increases the height of the fresh water, which then causes it to push sideways out into the ocean. But what happened in Provincetown is there were so many sewage, SASs, that they contaminated the shallow water supply, so that lens got contaminated.
Wow.
So they're taking their water out of Truro, which there aren't many people, but they're doing the same thing. So that as you start looking at what's going on with fresh water in the Cape, it's a big time problem.
Wow.
And it's just starting to show up, but it just tells me that if we have someone coming in and saying, oh, let's take some water out of the ground, you at least have to be aware that this can carry with it some scary repercussions.
Wow, that's interesting.
But again, it's different when you look at the Cape, that being a pile of sand. It's basically a big outwash with no horizontal flow to speak of.
Well, I'll do a little investigating, see what the base is proposing, but I'm scratching my head as to where they're going to be seeking to put this.
Well, they also could be putting on Mullen's land.
Well, That's another thing that we'll have to talk about at some point.
To see if they're gonna grow marijuana there.
Yeah, well, that's the problem. If there's federal funds, I think, going toward that water supply, then the marijuana folks can't use it because it's still a federally banned substance. That's the problem. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
So,
Didn't the town of Granby establish a water protection area someplace on
Yeah.
Street? I
We
thought
did.
Chicopee Street.
we did.
that was the discussion of concern when we were talking about the lead from the shooting range.
Right.
Yeah, that was in the 80s, Dick.
Yeah, and it goes from, of course, what did we do? The town put their gravel pit right in the spot that was the watershed for the town well. So it was in that area. It goes out, almost to Red Fire Farm. And I think it goes along that brook that's in there, but I don't know if it goes across Chicopee Street. But it's a long time ago.
Mm-hmm. We used to have a map depicting that somewhere.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, if that's it, then Colleen, you have any other surprises for us?
No, I don't.
Okay, then I'm going to say good night to everybody.
Okay. Thanks, Dick. Thanks, Lee.
Okay,
Colleen,
good night.
thank you.
Okay,
Good night.
Excellent.
Thanks.
Okay, we'll keep us posted. Thank you.
good night.
Okay.